Woo!
This race has never been about me. It has always been about the idea that we might finally have a government that works for everyone, literally everyone, and not just a subset of the American population, not just the super rich and the well-connected, but the people who urgently and desperately need government to work for them too. Folks like the family that I grew up in. I have said from the beginning of this race that for me, policy is personal. As my opponents have talked about any number of other things that Americans in New York 17th Congressional District and throughout this country are not so concerned about, I have talked about the big structural changes for our most intractable, sometimes existential problems. Let's talk about healthcare and the climate crisis. This campaign has always been about the idea that we could save the planet from climate catastrophe. That in the richest nation in the history of the world, we can ensure that everyone, and I mean everyone, has health care. That we might liberate an entire generation of people to meaningfully participate in this economy through tuition-free public colleges and universities and student debt forgiveness. Sometimes an idea is so powerful that once you go down its path, it becomes this unstoppable force, a movement, as some people like to say. A movement that in this case has been joined by people from all walks of life, folks from all races, genders, sexual orientations, income brackets, and on religions, creeds, and on and on. This is a movement unlike anything New York 17th Congressional District has ever seen. That's right. And I'm grateful to have so many people here and all throughout this district, and yes, all throughout this country, who are paying attention to this race, who are recognizing that it's not enough just to have the letter D next to your name. It's not enough just to identify as a Democrat. What are you fighting for? Yeah. Are you fighting tooth and nail for the things that we say we believe in as a Democratic Party? And if not, you ought to step aside and let somebody else do the hard work of charting a better course for this party and for the future of this nation. Chart, and we will chart a better future for this party and for the future of this district and for the future of this nation. It will not be easy work. The things worth fighting for do not come easily. And yet we have been defying expectations at every stage of this campaign because we may not have $5 million to throw at this race.
You don't?
We may not have money from George W. Bush's Director of National Intelligence and Ronald Reagan. We may be hampered a little bit by our commitment not to take money from fossil fuel industry lobbyists, but I thank God that we have actual people behind us, and I'll choose people over profits any day and twice on Sunday. We can chart a better future, and we will chart a better future, and I'm so grateful to all of you, young and old, who have come together, folks of good conscience, all throughout this district, and again, all throughout this country. And to the young people in particular, I will say this: I'm so grateful to those of you who have poured hours upon hours your time into the campaign of a candidate who you may not have known at the beginning of this race, but who you believed in. I know many of you were hurting over the results of the presidential primary. You know, Bernie Sanders called me a few days ago. That was an amen. And I was grateful to have that conversation with him. And what I said to him was, Senator Sanders, people were hurting. Young people in particular were hurting over the results of the presidential primary on the Democratic side. But I am enormously grateful to them for channeling that energy, that hurt, that pain, into down-ballot races like mine, to build a bench of progressive leaders who can continue the movement of making sure that everybody in this country can live in dignity and in comfort. And that we can all see in each other what we see in ourselves when we look in the mirror, the humanity that everyone, from the Wall Street banker to one of the 12+ million undocumented people in this country, deserves to have in a society like this and in all societies. So I'm grateful to the young people. Don't ever let anyone tell you that your work is in vain, that you don't have anything useful to add to the conversation. We know that that's not true. Demonstrably, that is not true. We wouldn't be in this position right now were it not largely for your efforts. And so please keep doing what you're doing, because it's working. It's working, and everyone is taking notice. And it's so important when people take notice, because when people take notice, they start to internalize things. And they start to say to themselves, maybe I should not come to the same conclusions that I came to. Maybe I shouldn't jump to the assumptions, but rather maybe I should prepare a space for other people to get involved in this party. Maybe people who have been shut out of the political process, oftentimes intentionally so. And so when all is said and done, this will largely be a story of how young people came together.
Yeah. That's right.
And defeated the pharmaceutical industry. The military industrial complex. The fossil fuel industry. And the IDC. And of course, the historic nature of this campaign is not lost on me. Growing up poor, black, and gay, I never imagined that somebody like me could run for Congress. Again, let alone be a leading contender for the nomination in the great New York 17th Congressional District. And I've been able to look to someone quite like myself. It would have been direct evidence of the fact that things really do get better later in life. And so this is for Barbara Jordan, that powerful voice in the United States House of Representatives who could not live an authentic life. This is for Bayard Rustin, the architect of the March on Washington, who could not publicly be associated with Martin Luther King because of the scandal of who he loved. This is for Harvey Milk, who literally died as a pioneer for people like me. I am so grateful to the folks on whose shoulders I stand. And to all of you for making tonight possible. I do expect to be the Democratic nominee from New York 17th Congressional. I know that we've got absentee ballots to count, of course, in July. I expect those to break for me in the way that in-person voting broke for me today. We have data that would suggest that is true. Yeah. And I want you to know that I will never stop fighting for you. That you have all fought alongside me, and that I will keep my promise to never stop fighting alongside you, because what we've got on the horizon are challenges unlike anything this country has ever faced. And I need you to stay involved. I need you to keep fighting alongside me. I will be a people's champion, as Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez called me in her endorsement. And as the New York Times said, I am indeed the most promising and the most prepared independent litigator. And finally, I'm grateful to the team that we have assembled in this campaign. It is a team unlike anything this district has ever seen. It is, in fact, the best team that $1 billion could not buy. From my campaign manager, Charlie Blaylock, who took a chance on a kid who dared to challenge the chair of the House Appropriations Committee, to Maya Honda, our digital organizer, to Elise and Laura, and so many others, Annie, and so many others. Jen, my God, now I'm really gonna get in trouble because I'm gonna miss it. Listen, this isn't about identifying every single person who's been instrumental in this race. This is about standing up for what is right and acknowledging that literally all of you, every last one of you, as I've said in particular over the past few days, have invested so much energy, and I hope that you see it's paid off. I hope that you see it's paid off. So thank you. Thank you again. And I'm grateful to you. And I'm grateful to lead, and I promise you that I'm not going anywhere. These seats don't just materialize overnight. And I'm going to stay here for a long time and make sure that you have the champion that you deserve, that I deliver the kind of representation that this district deserves. Thank you again, and let's celebrate.